magicians, how are you? Welcome to episode 43 of the Money Magic podcast. So my name is Reinier Smit, and I help women of color heal ancestral money trauma so that they can fall in love with their bank accounts, increase income, and live their best lives. Today, I have an incredible guest with me. It's one of my clients, Reinier Smit. And
hello.
Hi,
How are
Reinier.
you?
How are you?
Hey, hi. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us all the way from the Netherlands.
Yes, it's always great to talk to you. And yeah, I'm very curious about this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Like, I feel like I don't know why I didn't tell you that I do this podcast, but I felt like, well, I send out the emails, you're on my mailing list. You'll get it, but I guess you've been very, very busy. So thank you for just saying yes and
Of
agreeing to
course.
have a conversation with me.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. It's always so much fun to talk to you, and I always learn so much when we are in a conversation together. So probably this talk will also be for me very fruitful, and there will be a lot of new sort of insights. Even though you're asking the questions, I think I will get my insights as well.
Thank you. I hope so. And guys, I will say this, Reinier is one of those clients where like after the coaching session, and my coaching sessions are quite long, right? After the coaching session, we'd end up like having an extra hour-long discussion. And to be honest, I do that with a few clients, but not all of them, right? And this was just so incredible, like having him as a client, because we'd be able to just unpack and go deep into many topics. So looking forward to this conversation. But before we even jump in, Reinier, please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, well, I'm Reinier. I'm from the Netherlands. I've lived in South Africa for 10 years. And prior to that, I started working in the film industry, first in Europe and then in South Africa as a script supervisor and as a director. So I'm a filmmaker by heart. I also write, so I'm also a screenwriter. And my true passion is cinema and telling stories. And for me, I'm a very visual person. So for me, it's really the best way for me to tell stories is telling stories with images, and therefore I ended up in the film industry. Currently, well, thanks to Van Giele, I also changed my career to become more like an autonomous filmmaker, a person that's not only thinking about, oh no, I need to make money, I need to survive, but also a filmmaker that just is thinking in terms of what do I want to make, what kind of stories do I want to tell. And thanks to Van Giele, I made that switch, and since like a year or so, I'm doing a lot of projects that are my own projects. I am writing much more. There are like now 5 or 6 projects that are happening right now that I've written the screenplay, or they are still in development, or they're in the cinema. And also when it comes to directing, I've directed a couple of things. In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to Spain to direct for a movie, like a second unit job as a second unit director. And yeah, so like slowly but surely, I feel comfortable to just make decisions based on my own instincts and my own like wishes in life.
Wow, I had no clue you were going to Spain to do a directing movie. To
Yes.
direct a movie. How long will you be there for?
Oh, not so long. It's going to be second unit, so I will only be there for 2 weeks in like in Barcelona, the Barcelona area. Yeah.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my gosh, so this is so exciting to see you be a director, like to see the journey unfold is just something incredible. But before we even jump into your journey, Reinier, can I please ask you my favorite question, which is, what does money mean to you? How would you describe money to an alien? and just answer anything. We've had all sorts of answers on this show.
Well, so I didn't prepare the question, so I'm definitely gonna just use that. Just gonna say what I'm thinking. For me, money is a way to to get your dreams pushed into the right direction. So it's a way to, it's a kind of way to express yourself. So money is for me just something that can help me to get somewhere. But besides that, I don't care about money. Like I don't need to have stuff. I don't need to become very rich. The only thing that I want is to express myself, to create, to be a creative person. And if money can help me to fulfill my dreams in life, then money is going to be an amazing tool to use. And if money can also help other people, because I think that creating is not a solo job, like creating you don't do by yourself. If there's a way to create communally or to help other people to create, and in a way money can also help them or help the community that you're creating with, then that can also be like an amazing tool.
Yeah. No, I like that. I feel like money is a tool that can help us manifest our dreams, right? Like I feel it is definitely harder for us to manifest our dreams without money. It makes life just that much harder. So when did you start suspecting that your money story was just a little bit more than just about money and more than budgeting?
Yeah, I had a very negative relationship with money, but not because I had money issues, or like my issues with money weren't reflecting on my bank account. But was the fact that that I hated money. I always thought that it was standing in the way between me and my dreams, and between me and eating. Like every time I wanted to do something, for some reason it felt for me that money was or the lack of money was in the way. So I made a lot of decisions in my life. All my decisions were based on, okay, I need to have money. At the moment I have money on my bank account, then I'm going to think about creating and being a filmmaker. So for a long time, I never got to the point of creating, or at least not completely, because every time I was more busy making money. So in my bank account, the situation was okay. It was not like I wasn't in a terrible financial state. In quite an okay state. But the fact that I was so negative about money, like for me, it felt like money really spoiled everything, because all the time I had to work to get money and I didn't have any time to do what I really wanted. And sessions with you, thanks to our talks and meditations, I actually start to have a shift in my mindset, that I start to realize, yeah, but it's not the money that I have to hate. It's the way that I actually am treating my dream of being a filmmaker. It's the way that I'm looking how I can be a creator and make money. It's not either or. It can also be both. And focus and about and about being a little bit bold and courageous as well. So right now my relationship with money is much better, and funny enough, it helps. It's like reciprocal. It's like money is also treating me better, and right now it really feels like that choosing what I really want to do also in a way pays off.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that, Reinier, because often people think that people come to me. I always say, like, a lot of my private clients, funny enough, come to me not because they have a lot of money issues. A lot of my private clients come to me not because they have empty bank accounts or they have no money in their bank accounts, but because they have money, but there's something there that's like, not quite adding up. Like, why is it if I have this money, I'm still not able to do what I want to do? And why don't I feel safe having this money? You know?
Yeah.
So there's always this, and that's why I say it's never about the money, because people often assume that people do money work because they come to heal their relationship with money because they have hectic money stories. Yes, I did, but not everyone that works with me is like that. In fact, a lot of my private clients have like have money in their bank accounts and they're good with it. Some of them don't even have debt, none of that drama. And it's just like, but there is just something. How do you pursue your dream? How do you live your purpose and you have money?
Yeah, how you can do both. Well,
yes.
Actually, that was something that I, in the beginning, thought wasn't possible. So I thought that, yeah, I can. It's like a choice. I'm like on a crossroad, and it's either making money and have a miserable life, or choose to be creative and to live your dreams, or to choose for your dreams. But then you also have a miserable life because you need money in life. But
so you're the starving creative. You're happy at work, but you're financially broke and you're not able to pursue your goals. I think this is how we've been taught, though, in society, right? We have the starving writer, the starving actors and actresses, all that. And so we kind of like have been taught to see creativity and brokenness, for lack of a better word, as something that kind of like can go hand in hand. But that's not true. It doesn't have to be the case. I mean, you're living proof. And I feel like I also interviewed one of the Money Magic students, Tony Stewart. So guys, I think Tony's episode 4, so way back. So if you're a creative, listen to her. And I'm sure I've interviewed other creatives before. I'm just not able to recall their episodes. And they're also Money Magic students, and they are making a living from their creativity and able to really make money doing what they love and pay things and buy assets and invest. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, but we do live with the societal upbringing. Can you share how like you were able to, I know some of the things that we did, but what were some of the helpful things for a creative listening in and thinking, I want to go and do the art, I want to go be full on creative, but I'm also scared I'm going to starve to death. What are some things that, like, what are some aha moments or insights that you had that helped you make that leap, or some exercises that really helped, that when we're working together that helped you?
Well, yeah, actually there've been so many insights and so many exercises that really helped, because it really felt for me it was really like a whole process. So it's not that's maybe one thing completely changed the script for me, but it was really like the sort of it's already started with like a shift of focus. Thanks to you, thanks to our sessions, I started to focus on that a lot of ideas that I had were just based on fears and based on anxiety and based on negative thinking. They were not real. They were not like based in reality, because how would I know if I say, yeah, I can't be a filmmaker and at the same time make money, or I can't be a screenwriter at the same time make money. If I say that, how do I know that? It's like an image that I build in my head that is based on fear and anxiety and fear of losing as well. So thanks to our sessions, like we did a couple of meditations, and we did regression, like going to past lives, and we went
guys, the past life regressions are lit.
We did and we did ancestral work, we did breathing exercises, and all of them helped me with stripping all the layers of fear and anxiety, and also of sort of like a minority complex, and not really fully live up to my own strength and my own power. And but it really, our sessions really helped me to have a different kind of way of looking at the situation, looking at myself, and it really made me, yeah, more confident about taking steps, and also confident about that a lot of my thoughts were just based on negative thinking and not based on reality.
Mm, mm. So glad you said that, because I feel like what we don't talk about often is how trauma like exacerbates fear, right?
Yeah.
So even an example, like for me, I've been sharing with people now that I'm in Cape Town. I'm like so happy. Yeah, guys, I'm filming this in Cape Town. As you can see, my background is now different, like different episodes. So when I was in Joburg before 2021, for years, I would land in Joburg and I would feel freaked out. If I saw people passing me by, I would like freak out. I would want to hide, not because of Joburg, but because I come from an extremely abusive maternal family. So when I left Joburg to move to Cape Town, I was 17, but I was not just leaving, I was running away to survive, like literally survive. And it was very much a physical thing because there was so much violence, verbal, emotional, physical abuse involved that I was just scared. So even when I was in Joburg, and even though I knew I had these boundaries and people wouldn't be bothering me, all that, the fear was still there. And it took years and years of working through it to remind myself and my nervous system that I was safe. So I feel like when we talk about trauma, is that like, it doesn't have to be as huge a thing as it has been with me, guys. So if you're listening, it might be small little things, right? And like those small little things, even though the event isn't happening now, our psyche will keep retrieving those events, and like our body will respond in the same fearful manner. So I'm glad that you brought that up about like as we heal the layers and like healing the fears. And also what you said, I want to dig into past lives. So
Yeah.
you're like, I think this is the third time people have mentioned past lives on this podcast. Guys, if you're super Christian and you're like, oh my God, I don't believe in this, don't worry. It's not a big deal. You will not be forced to do past lives. However, this is a big however and disclaimer, I do not control where the meditations go, right? So
and me neither. Like it wasn't that I wanted to go to a past life, but I just ended up there. Yeah.
So what was the experience with that? Like how, like, I mean, I'm sure people are listening to this and some people are like, oh my God, exciting. And some people are like, yeah, whatever. And some people are like, what the hell? Please tell us more. What was your, like, what did you learn from past life experiences, especially around trauma? Why do you think past lives are important in this lifetime? How
Well,
do they
like,
link to this lifetime?
yeah, I'm not like a strong believer in past lives. So, but when it happens, then of course, then at a certain point you have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So I'm not advocating for past life. If some of the listeners don't feel anything by past life, that's also fine. But I think when you meditate, you should always have an open mind. So you shouldn't start meditating already like having like a whole system of belief system in your head, or saying, okay, this is something that I believe in. This not just listen to your breath, and then just your mind and soul will take you wherever it takes you. So I went to a past life, and past life experience for me, it really felt like it's almost like a memory that echoes from very far away and comes to you, and it is a memory that is so vivid that or it's actually like an image, or a series of images that are so vivid that you have a very strong feeling that it was actually you yourself who experienced it. It wasn't like when you dream about something, sometimes it feels so far away from who you are that it feels like, oh yeah, it was just a dream, or it was not really me. But like a past life experience is so strong that in a way you are convinced that it was you, even though it was in a different time and I was in a different place. And it went to a place of trauma because unfortunately traumas are most of the time the strongest when it comes to memory. So I went to a memory and there was trauma involved, but it also put my traumas in my own life into a whole different perspective, because sometimes you have traumas and you don't know where they come from. And
Yes.
with this meditation, I really went to a past life. I experienced a trauma that my current self also has, and I started to understand where this trauma comes from a past life, but also how I had to deal with it. And that's basically now I had a way to overcome my trauma, to learn how to go beyond the trauma. And that was like an amazing moment. So whether you don't believe it or not, it really helped me. Like, so I was skeptical, but it really helped me to get past the trauma.
Yeah. And part of it was that, like, when we looked at your lifetime and your childhood, we couldn't find where this was coming from, right? So you can do the work, guys, but if in this lifetime there's nothing that is indicating that this could be the source of the trauma, there's nothing to do but like to start looking into past lives, right? So we can look into ancestral stuff, but if we can, if you can see that other family members don't have the same experiences, then it's probably not ancestral. Then it's unique to the soul. You know, not all times. Sometimes it can be ancestral. So I just think I like past lives because of that. Oh, now my throat is groggy. I'm gonna have some water.
Yeah. Maybe there is not maybe the difference between ancestral and past life is not that big, because it's, of course, sometimes you don't, sometimes they're just images that you get, and maybe it was ancestral, maybe it was, or maybe it was a past life, but sometimes it's not that clear. I know from other people that for them it is clear when they have some kind of ancestral moment, and it's clear because basically the ancestors talk to them. But in my case, it was really it was like a memory, but a memory from very far. So
it's the same with me. Like, I feel like people say, how will you know if you're having a past life memory, and how do you tell it apart from an ancestral memory? You can, like, you just know. You know? Like, there's no other way to explain it. You just know that this is you, and you understand it, and you can feel it. It's like, you know with certainty that I've been here, this is me. It's hard to explain. And also I say to people, and obviously if it doesn't work, you'll know, because like you're still the same person. But most people, after they do past life work, there's a shift in their behavior and how they respond to the same trauma that they've been dealing with. Why? Because in the same way that you would do inner child and inner teen work and experience that shift, you've now just gone into a past life memory and you've healed that. So you're going to experience the same shift as though you were doing inner child and inner teen work. I think a lot of things, it's because we believe that we need to have like faith in it, or it goes against our faith and our religion if I do a past life regression, or I allow myself to go into past lives. But I've never felt like that. You know, I'm like, healing is healing. There are things that I will not also understand in different modalities of healing. But if I feel comfortable with it and I don't feel like it re-traumatizes me, let's see.
Yeah.
But it's up to the individual.
Yeah. But I think I just asked myself, where does the trauma comes from? Like, I meditated on that question. And then it brought me to a past life, and it wasn't really that I was asking for, let's go to a past life, or it just happened because I just had a very open mind. I was just asking, okay, where is this trauma coming from? And and then eventually it really helped me, because now I have a way to deal with it.
Yeah. So how do you, wow, this is exciting. Like, let me just acknowledge this. This is awesome, guys. See, we talk about all things in the Money Magic podcast, and we do all things in healing.
Not only
Well,
about
not
money.
all things, but we do some pretty cool things around trauma healing, I feel. It's not cool when you're doing it because it is painful to go into these memories. I won't lie. Like, I cry a lot in my past life memories. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God,
No, no, because
look at my soul over there struggling.
yeah, because you just said just now that that sometimes it's very painful, or like you don't want to get to a too painful place that you relive the trauma, and that's I do understand that, but unfortunately going back to the place of trauma is always a little bit painful, but of course you have to be sure that you are able that you're able to ready to deal with it. If you're not ready, then maybe you shouldn't do it, but the moment you're ready, then of course it will always be confrontational, because you go to a place where there's sadness and there is like something that needs healing, but eventually you really feel a sense of relief, or a sense of growth, or a sense of empowerment. And I think that's always beautiful, even though sometimes
Yes,
it needs
I'm
a little
so
bit of
glad
pain.
that you said that. I agree with that. Like, I have nothing to add except like, thank you for saying that. Like, because I always say to when people are like, but what, like, why would I go through the pain? You know, like, I don't want to heal because it's so painful to heal. But I'm like, you know, the way that I look at it, it's like, let's say I'm carrying this load, because that's literally what it feels like in the body. I'm
Yeah,
carrying this 20 kilogram or 20-pound load everywhere I go. And I carry it for years and years because I don't want to do like something that will make me uncomfortable for like 6 months so that I can stop carrying the load. So I decide I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to take the 6 month route. I'm just going to continue to carry the load for another 20, 30 years. And like,
yeah,
not only that, because it's trauma, this load doesn't remain 20 pounds or 20 kgs. It keeps growing. Every year it grows by a kilogram or a pound. It keeps growing and keeps growing until by the time after 30 years, it's no longer a 20-pound or a 20 kg load. It's like a 50 kg or 50-pound load, right? So that's what trauma is really. So when most of us keep delaying the healing, it's like it just piles on everything, right? Like before we weren't sick, and now because of all the trauma that we carry in our bodies, our organs start experiencing all sorts of illnesses, all sorts of blockages. So now what was just like a simple emotional issue is now an emotional issue plus a physical issue that now causes disease, right? So it's like, no, I would rather just deal with the actual issue right now and be uncomfortable right now, but knowing that I drop this load and I no longer have to carry it and it's good for my health. So
yeah,
that's always been my approach to this.
yeah. I think like yeah, that's also what enlightenment means, right? It's also that you're light, you make yourself lighter, you make yourself brighter. So if you are
Oh,
if
wow,
you
I did not know. I didn't think of it like that.
yeah, so it's so if you find a way to get rid of that weight, or to make yourself lighter as a being, then you are on the road for enlightenment, or to enlightenment.
Wow. So it's releasing, because that's literally it, right? Like I feel I've always thought of trauma as that, like as of healing and integrating trauma as that, as just like releasing the false belief systems, releasing the behavioral patterns that we have taken on in order to survive.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of, how has your definition of trauma changed since we started working together? What was your definition of trauma before? Maybe you didn't really have one. And then how has it changed as you started your healing journey?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you already pointed out I didn't really have a definition of trauma before. I think trauma was something that I was trying to ignore and was not trying to confront, and so it was like the thing that I didn't want to think or talk about. I did know that I had some kind of traumas in my life, but yeah, it's like you just try to hide them for yourself. So for me, in the beginning, trauma was something I didn't want to think about, and then during our sessions, like I think there have been many like a versatile, a lot of different ways I'm looking at trauma right now. Like trauma is definitely something that for me right now is something that a person needs to visit a place of trauma to understand how to move on in life and how to surpass the trauma, how in a way transcend away from the trauma. For me, trauma also means that there are still a lot of lessons that you can learn. Like even though a lot of trauma is not caused by yourself, you can still learn so much in terms of how to deal with them, how to think about them, how to move away from them, or how to move away. Almost sounds like running away from them. I mean, go beyond them. So it's a big learning curve as well, like facing your traumas or dealing with your traumas. I'm also no longer see them as negative. I see them as something that is part of life. I just see them the way they are because I'm now ready to look them in the eye. So trauma for me is a trauma, and it's something that I have to deal with, and also in due time. Sometimes you don't need to slay all your dragons at once, but you just take one dragon at a time, I would say.
I like that. Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. You take one dragon at a time, but I think that's it. Healing is a journey, right? We're on this journey. We don't have to, it's not like, much as I would like to wake up and be healed, it's like I'm in a constant process, because I always say to people, for me to get to this age, I like most of my childhood, I was dealing with certain things that were triggering me and traumatizing me and re-traumatizing me and changing my personality indefinitely and making me feel powerless constantly for like years and years, right? And most of us think that, ooh, if I just do this and then within a week, I'll be like that. It's like, it's not realistic, because that literally is, you've got like all these years and years of memories that you need to unpack. And let's not forget like other lifetimes of memories that are also coming through and impacting you.
Yeah, definitely. And like a lot of people say, it's not the destination, it's the path, you know? Something to that. I would say it's not the path, it's the journey. So doesn't matter how traumatized you are, how many traumas you have, how sort of like some people have a path that is laid with golden bricks, and other people have a path with lots of potholes. And even though like one path is more difficult than the other, it doesn't say anything about the journey. The journey is you can control. You can decide if your journey will be something worth your while.
Yes.
What path you walk. So I would say it's not the destination, it's not the path, but it's the journey that is really important.
Yes. Thank you for that. That is so, so important. So I'm very interested.
And I learned it from
never
you.
asked you this question. When we started working together, what did you think we'd be doing? I know, so Reinier was introduced to me by another client of mine, right? That happens a lot, guys. So a lot of my private clients are referrals from other clients and everything, because I've got a set number of spots. So what did you think we were going to be doing? I know, because you were like, no, we're not going to do a lot of work on the money thing. Even though I was like, no, everything is touches on the money.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
don't necessarily work on the money. What did you assume we're going to do?
Well, I mean, I think I trusted the person who recommended you. I already had faith from the start, but because I saw like all the money things on the website and stuff, I really thought, and also I first did the bank account.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
asked you to do the bank account challenge first.
yeah, I started with the bank account. At the beginning I was like, okay, but so we are going to talk about money all the time, and is money then like a way to deal with other stuff as well? And so for me, it was kind of confusing because I thought in the beginning, yeah, but I don't have any money issues. But then during our sessions, I actually realized no, but the way you look at your money is almost like the way you're looking at yourself. It's almost like the way you deal with money. Like if you love yourself, then you treat yourself. You use money to show love to yourself.
Ooh.
And if you hate yourself, then either you don't spend your money, or you don't spend your money wisely, or you hate yourself because you don't have any money. So money is such an important thing in our lives.
Yep.
Maybe unfortunately,
Definitely.
but it is so important. So it is kind of a mirror to yourself, to your own like valuation of yourself.
Definitely. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'm really.
Then there was live. Look,
And then there was light. So
yeah,
guys, we
unbelievable.
paused the recording, as you can see, because in the Netherlands it's summertime and it got dark. Even though like we're recording this at nighttime in South Africa, like 9:30 p.m. in both countries, I guess summer looks different day in summer, we're in winter. Oh. But
Yeah.
we're heading to spring.
Yeah,
Spring in the Cape.
And spring in Cape Town is so beautiful. Like it's like when you walk there on the mountain, or you go to Newlands Forest. Wow, spring is so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Hey, like I feel like being in Cape Town in general is always a happy thing for me. So I feel like it doesn't have to be spring for me to just like rejoice, but it's great that like it gets to be spring and
Yeah.
I'm here. Okay. I'm so interested in like how you saw working together, and I'm so glad that you took that plunge. But like you said, it was someone that you trusted, and you were like, yeah, that makes a big difference. I know that, like for myself as well. So just having people that you know whose judgment you can trust, that are like, no, you must definitely do this, and
it was also our first conversation, like the first time we met, and I don't even think it was like a session, but it was really like sort of a meet and greet. Like from that moment on, I already knew that it was going to be very powerful, because it's like everybody who's listening to the pod or is watching the podcast, they know you, and it's like you are like such a beautiful person, and you're always so wise, and you already told me a lot of words of wisdom, and so I was already like I knew that this was going to be an amazing session, series of sessions with you.
Oh, thank you. And now, since the sessions, you've alluded a little to how your life has changed. Can you give us like 3 definite shifts? You've told us how your career has changed, but can you also tell us any other shifts that you've had in your life? That you've seen from us working together, and just you going on your healing journey, because all I do is really hold space for people.
Yeah, but it's that's very, very important. I think that you holding space, that really opened up so much in my life, and probably in a lot of people's lives, and I would say for me, like my I'm sure that a lot of lives, like the friend that recommended me, her life also really shifted and
She also
very
changed
positive.
careers.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone that's listening to this podcast is going to be like, crap, almost everyone that she interviews, apart from the creatives, change careers. What's going on? Guys, don't be scared if you're like not in your soul purpose. Though it's not me that does this. Your soul, you connect with your soul, and I correct me if I'm wrong, Reinier, but it doesn't feel difficult, the shift, right? It feels like a sigh and a relaxation because you're moving into your purpose. So I'm sure like if you were moving from another career into another industry that had nothing to do with your soul calling, it would feel extremely difficult. But when you're doing something that is your calling, it's completely different.
Yeah, I can even reverse it. Like actually trying to not listen to your calling, it's more exhausting than actually listen to your calling and go for it. So probably everybody's
truth, actually. Why do we go to school and get told, like when someone goes, I want to be a dancer, and then a well-meaning teacher goes, but you're so great at science and math, you should be an engineer. Right?
Yeah.
And we wake up like, I don't know, like 20 years later, and we're like, oh, I feel drained and exhausted because you've been going against your entire soul your whole life.
Yeah. So the moment you actually follow your calling and actually listen to what you actually are why you are here and what you can do with fulfilling your dreams, then things are flowing much better. And for me, like I think I'm still like it's not that I'm now cured, I'm not healed, I'm still finding my footing, and but it's going very well. And I think one of the biggest shifts that happened to me was also that I found a lot of peace within myself. So I wanted to quickly make that transition to become like the most famous film director that lives on earth and win all the Oscars and stuff. But right now I feel also that of course that it's great to have such achievements, but for me my achievement is to create and to make movies, and that's like where my focus is on. So my focus is not less all over the place. It's much more like in a very tranquil kind of peaceful way. I'm just moving forward one step at a time. And that also feels great, because that sense of peacefulness also comes from not having anxiety issues anymore, or
and I feel, guys, it's not that I don't want, because people often listen to this podcast and they'll hear like the student before you, the guest before you that I interviewed, Lirato, she's episode 41, I think, episode 40, somewhere there. And I interviewed her and we had this conversation, and she was sharing how like when she wanted to get an extra apartment in Lesotho, Maseru, she now lives in North Carolina. Why do I say North Carolina? Oh my God, no, she lives in Arizona, America, in the US. Thinking of one of my friends in North Carolina. But she was sharing how like, I was like, yeah, definitely your whole salary is gonna get is gonna pay for this apartment and for the rent. Go for it. And as a money coach, I feel like, guys, I promise you, I do care about people's savings and people's income. But I think one of the things that I've always been very clear on is it's better for us to create from a place of peace and calm. There's no point in having a director that has all the accolades and doesn't have inner peace and doesn't enjoy the process of creating, right? Like that the process of creating gives anxiety. Because I remember us having this conversation that if you can find peace in just creating for the sake of creating, then you would be able to take on more jobs every time. You'd be able to do more projects. And just through law of averages, a lot of those are going to do well and be well known. Some of them won't, but some of them will be. And just perfect, right?
Yeah.
Eventually the accolades come. But if you are rolled up into like a little like wound up tight, if every project is life or death and is not about the process of enjoyment and just creating for the sake of enjoyment, then it's going to be harder and harder to take on projects because every project needs to be perfect.
Yeah,
Right?
and that pressure makes you very indecisive, or
Yeah.
you start to jinx it just because you think you can't do it. It creates a lot of stress, unnecessary stress, and a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. So the moment you just create, and actually the reason that I want to be a filmmaker is that I enjoy the process of filmmaking. For me, it's not the ego boost of getting lots of awards, because like that's the ego thing. So I think that's not really the reason why you should be anything in the world. Like the most important thing for me is that I'm able to write or develop stories and show that to people, and is something, that whole process is something that I love the most. And then the moment it's done, then I let it go, and I give it to the universe. Then the universe can do whatever they want to do, because I already had my greatest time. I already did the fun part. The thing that comes next.
And I love that, right? And it's almost like then I feel like what you've just described is co-creation. And it's what people mean by surrender. You know, when people say, let go and surrender, is that I do my very best and then I let it go.
Yeah.
You know, and then I trust the process. And I think it's hard, like when we are anxious and scared, we will often be like, no, but I'm trusting the process. Sometimes I'll say to people, well, maybe get into your body and your emotional state and then like really be with your emotions, and you'll realize that you're not always trusting the process. Trusting the process means literally is that what you've just described. I do my best. I come in, I enjoy it, I create, and then I let it go. What happens from then on is the universe's part, right? There's certain things that like, all we can do is our very best. The marketing people for the film can do their best. Everyone is going to do their best within the process. And then up to a point, some things are going to wildly succeed even when you don't expect them to, and some things will not do as well even when you expect them to, you know, and that is life. And I think I feel like most times we've been taught with the law of attraction movement that we can control everything, you know, that every single thing is within our control. And I'm like, not really, because some things it's like we are a collective. Like I feel like COVID has really humbled us from that kind of mindset, right? It's like I can control myself, but I can't force my neighbor to wear a mask. I can't control my neighbor.
Yeah,
right?
You can't say, I don't have time for COVID. You also can't say that. I don't have time for COVID.
Exactly. So I feel like we have been taught that, but also there's some things where you have to sit back and look at like how much of a role is ego playing in this, you know? So I've often been a big believer in I can control what I can control, what is within my thing, which is exactly what you're talking about, which is the work that I do, how much I give, how I show up, how much I enjoy the process, all that. But certain things are out of my control, you know? And that's that. Like, I can't control how people receive something. Like when I write anything, I can't control how people receive that piece of writing, how they interpret it. Even though, gosh, when I started, I wanted to control all those things. And then I later learned that I can't. I have to just let it be.
Yeah. And then the joy of creating, the joy of the process, that is something that you can control. That's something that you can own. And so that's why it's so important that you find something that you really love to do and then just do it. And then even though you sometimes fail, like failure is also part of like learning something new. And so the more you are trying new stuff, the more you have moments of failure. So if you don't fail in life, then actually you haven't done anything. So you just have
Yes.
to be open for the possibility that sometimes you fail. And
Yeah.
as long as you love the process, then there's nothing, that's all fine, because you
Yeah.
are enjoying the things that you're doing. And then from that joy, those successes will also come.
Yeah, actually, that is my big secret in entrepreneurship as to why I'm able to go continue consistently doing entrepreneurship. I didn't used to think I had the kind of personality that could stick out building a company like Wealthy Money, starting other projects and seeing them through. I love starting things, right?
Yeah.
That's obvious. Like I've got like the Money Magic podcast, I've got the Property Magicians podcast. So I love starting things, guys. Like I love putting processes in place, etc. But I never thought I had the staying power to keep showing up every day to do certain things, right? Because I used to think excitement is new things. That was always my thing. Like I
Yeah.
never believed that excitement could be something in the consistency and steadiness. And one day, I think when I was in the middle of wanting like 6 months into Wealthy Money, I was like, no, I want something new. I want like the consistent change. I mean, like, I think that may be also why I moved countries so much, moved cities, all that. But what I learned was that actually the trick is in finding the things you enjoy and like allowing yourself to go deeper and deeper in the joy. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put it? It's almost like sucking joy deeper and deeper. Because I realized that actually one day I'll learn something else and it will be a small thing and it will bring me joy. And then I'll learn something else and I'll learn something else. So that's also when I started realizing that I don't have to follow any one strategy. I can literally build something that brings me joy and is a pleasure to me, and somehow it will be a pleasure to others because that joy and pleasure will shine through, you know, and it will attract other people to want to be part of this, either as freelancers who work for Wealthy Money or as employees that work for Wealthy Money, all sorts of things. So that has been my secret, is that like, do the things that you enjoy in the business and do them, and so that even when you do them consistently, they are your pleasures every single day. You look forward to doing them. And that's why I think it's
So you
important
just
to
told
do that
everyone your
class.
secrets. You just told everyone your secrets.
Yeah, and you know what? Even when it gets hard, I find that I'm able to stick with it. I know most people may not believe this, but I did used to have a non-resilient personality. Is that even like a thing to describe a personality? But like, this is how I learned to be resilient. It was just to find joy in the
Yeah.
everyday things and in the mundane and in the work that I do. And so like to show up to do the stuff that I need to do consistently it no longer feels like this big struggle,
Yeah.
And that was, so what you're talking about with joy and enjoying the process, like I think that is one of the biggest things that changed my life for me. I was like every week, every 6 months, I think I would be the kind of person that's like, oh, I need to start another company. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I'm like, I actually want to see this and see how far I can grow it, how I can scale it. And I've got the patience for that because I truly enjoy the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you are at a point where you're really enjoying your own process, then you also are listening to or observing your own joy more and more and more. And then you also start to understand that there's certain kinds of joy, and some kind of joy is just very ephemeral. It just comes and it goes quickly. So that kind of joy maybe is something that is fun, but then it doesn't last forever. And then at a certain point, you come across forms of joy that really last forever. Like the moment you realize that if you build a company and you start a company and you see it grow and grow and grow, that's maybe a kind of joy that's even a longer kind of joy. So I really started to listen to myself and then also start to analyze which kinds of joys come on my path. And so right now I really start to understand what I really like. And I actually realized that what I liked a couple of years ago were more like those quick sort of fixes of joy, like a quick fix of joy.
Yeah.
And right now I realize that certain kinds of joy that I really like are the long lasting kinds of joy, the joys
Yeah.
that are really fulfilling. And
Mm.
so
I think
that's
that what you said about the quick fixes of joy and the different types of joy, right? I think this is like, in Vipassana, where we talk about chasing sensations. So many of us experience that kind of joy. So I get you. And, a funny thing that happened when I started focusing on the joy of the process, talking about quick fix joys, I was always the kind of person that wanted, like, lived for the big moments in life. Like I wanted the spectacular moments, oh yes, I'm going to this party and I'm going to dress like this, I'm going to talk to this person, and oh my gosh, I'll be given this accolade or whatever, And so I used to fixate on those moments. And I remember when I think it was around about the same time when I was having this realization around process, was that, but those moments happen far and few between in life, right? Although Instagram would have us believe that they happen often, right? They're like, even as a traveler, like most people are like, oh my gosh, like I had one woman say, one of the Money Magic students was like, oh, she's a producer. And she was like, she wants to do a documentary. Well, not a documentary, but a reality show of my travels. And I was like, actually, it is these moments that you see me take on for a Facebook Live or Instagram Live or whatever, they happen like maybe once a day, like an hour a day or something. They're not consistent. Sunsets happen once a day. Sunrise happens once a day. Like I'm not constantly hiking. It's not possible to keep having those sustained moments. So I had to stop. And so that realization helped me fall in love with life. There's no other way to explain it, because I remember having this realization that life is a lot of the mundane things. It's in the way you eat, it's the food that you eat, it's like waking up in the morning, it's your morning routine, it's often the repetitive things. And yet it's not the repetitive things that we highlight in life, right? So those are not the things that we rush to tell people about. We always rush for the big moments that give us the adrenaline rushes, and that's the stuff. But it's like 80% of life, or even 70% of life for some people, it's like the consistent mundane things. And they're all the things that we all do. We all have to eat. We all have to drink water. We all have to go to the bathroom. We all have to sleep, we all have to get dressed. Those are the moments, and yet those are the moments that we tend to rush through. So I remember having this decision, and I call it a decision within myself, where I was like, I'm going to actively enjoy those moments. I'm going to pursue those moments, and I'm going to enjoy them, because hell, if this is 80% of my life, I might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those, a lot of stuff you don't see on Instagram is also because like they are not very photographical. They're not like photogenic. So if a lot of people have so many great moments on a day, like they had like a very funny thought, or they smelled like the fresh air after a rain, like you can't put Instagram, so you don't see that. So yeah, I think you should always like all these kind of Facebook and Instagram kind of tools. They are very limited, and that's also how you should see them. They really only show like a little part of how life can be, but all the highlights are found in the mundane stuff. You're right.
They really are. It took me years to see that. And I think when we're chasing the quick, like the fast joy, right? That's like the night in the club, incredible life experience, like where we're like, oh my God, like my being on stage where you're being given an award, it's like that happens if that was your focus in your career. That happens, yes, it's important, but like it's all the mundane things that lead to that award. It's all the consistent processes that you do over time that lead to that award, right? You just, a very few people wake up and then they have that award. We see the ending and not the process, right?
Yeah.
And then I think this is so important what you said. And so if we're living for the accolades, they also only happen that 5 minutes when you're giving that speech. Yes, you'll have the award for everybody to see, but that high is a 5-minute high. Oh my gosh, I won, that realization, right? Yeah. It's 5 minutes, but like everything else leading up to that is the most important thing. So process and being present and loving the process, so important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That process is so much more important than those 5 minutes of a high. Yeah.
So love this. So I am interested in what are some of the 3 lessons, if you can come up with 3, like I'm putting you on the spot, 3 lessons you've learned on your healing journey. So apart from what we've just discussed about process, present, all this other stuff, what are some 3 lessons if you had to give a young creative who's starting out on this journey? What are some things that you've learned as you've gone on your healing journey?
If I also thinking about like saying it to creative, like somebody else from the industry.
Actually, everyone's listening to this podcast, not a creative, but everyone. What are some 3 lessons that you've learned from your healing journey that you would like to share?
Well, I think one thing is that it's good to turn around certain thoughts that you have. So the moment you have a negative thought, like especially in a creative process, you come there. It's kind of, you're always looking for that moment that you are like flowing and you are like everything is going automatically. So when you're writing, you're always hoping that you're on that high wave, and you're not always there. And then you start to think negatively, like you can't write, you're not good at what you do, and those moments I've learned from you that you can just also turn those thoughts around. You examine those thoughts, like and then actually neutralize them. Have a little conversation with yourself, and then you actually realize those thoughts are just your fear, and just you just want yourself to be something else on that moment, but you're not, and you just have to accept where you are in the process, and you don't need to be negative about it. So that was something, just to turn around thoughts, just to see things from another perspective. That really was a great lesson. Meditate.
But all thoughts are true, guys. Like that's what I teach all my clients. I'm like, all thoughts are both true and untrue, right? They just are. We don't have to fight them. And I love what you said about neutralizing them. It's actually the best explanation.
Because neutralizing doesn't mean that you have to kill them. It's not that kind of neutralizing. It's literally making them neutral, making them, strip them from whichever value you've given them. And most of the time you give something a negative value. So strip them from the negative value you've given it, and make it a neutral thought. Like, oh, I'm thinking this. Okay, yeah. And what else? Well, meditating. Like, I think I also learned that a lot of times meditating really helps you put things into perspective, or basically organize your thoughts, or get back into your energy, get back into your focus. So thanks to you, I actually meditate much more. I meditate every day. And sometimes I meditate just a very short amount of time, sometimes a little bit longer, but it's very helpful. And also it's it really recharges my battery as well. So I really love meditating and yoga. Like for me, there are ways to just revitalize myself, and that's something that you, yeah, that's something that you pointed out, that how important it is. And yeah, I think you also said to me once, like if you don't have time to meditate, then it means that you have to meditate more. Uh, and yeah, I think you said it.
Yeah,
That
it sounds like me. If you're so overwhelmed, you don't have time to meditate, then like your life is too overwhelming. You need to
yeah,
meditate.
you have to meditate more. So yeah, so that's what I yeah, that's something that I really learned from you. And yeah, to be fearless, to basically, if you want something, just do it, and just make plans to go for it. And the time is now, so just start now and just do it and make a plan, and start to see how you can, I don't know, if it's something that needs money, then how can you afford it, or how can you find a way to finance your ideas. So you don't, I think the practical things, the practical tools that you gave me were also very important. It was not only
I'm
like,
glad to hear that.
yeah,
So my final question. Oh,
yeah,
I was gonna ask a different question, but like the one that I really want to ask, is because I know this is seen as something that is very much for women. Let's talk self-care.
yeah,
Like, let's talk about how your self-care routine has completely like, I mean, like you've just upped it, you know? And what have you learned from that? Because I think the reason why I feel it's important to ask this is because we live in a society that is so patriarchal and so damaging to both men and women,
yeah,
right? Like where we tend to think that, ooh, self-care is a feminine thing. Like, and we very rarely talk about self-care. You don't see a lot of men talk about self-care. Let me just put it like that. But part of your thing, because you were coaching with me, I was just like, self-care is on the agenda on a weekly basis. How has that been like for you? And what have you learned from that? And tell us, and do share some of your routines, like inspire some of the men listening to this podcast.
yeah. Well, first of all, I was very bad in taking care of myself. Like I even forgot to drink water, like during the day. Like it was,
Yeah.
I was not thinking about how I could make myself feel better. I was only like focused on work and focused on other people, but not about taking care of myself. I don't know if that was because I'm a man, and because I've been raised by a very strong mother who also showed me that masculinity is very toxic, and that I shouldn't be like those kinds of men. So from early age I already knew that I shouldn't be a toxic person. But nevertheless, I wasn't able to take care of myself, and thanks to my sessions with you, and especially what you told me, like you are very, like you're so good at taking good care of yourself, and you summed up all the things that you did, and I started to realize, yeah, like it's an act of self-love, like loving yourself is so important, and you can look in the mirror and say I love you, but which is also very important. But to do actually the act of loving yourself, to actually do something with yourself in terms of taking care of yourself, that is like true act of self-love. So thanks to our sessions, I started very small. I was hydrating myself and I cooked nice food for myself. So there were some small steps, and then it progressed like from meditation to yoga to sometimes buy nice stuff for myself, or sometimes to treat myself. go to a spa or to go for a massage, even though I don't do that a lot still.
But no, massage or spas. Reinier
Yeah,
would love to hear this.
yeah, but it's still like I think you once told me that you do it like once a week. Well,
Yeah, I
I do it
do.
like once every 6 months, but still, every time I do it, I actually have to think about our sessions, and I'm like, yeah, Angela is right. Like doing things like going to a spa or treating yourself, or that is so important, and
Yeah.
it really makes you like it really establishes or continues to have to create like a great relationship between you and yourself, and
Yeah, you get into your body, right?
yeah, you get into your
I
body.
mean, and even like how you say you take time for yourself. Like I also think self-care isn't just the massages, right? It's the things that you're doing. Like
Yeah,
you're taking time out to meditate every day, to check in with yourself,
yeah,
to say, hey, self, how am I doing? Most of us struggle with that. Like most people struggle with that, just to do that check in. It feels like, oh my gosh, I should be working because that's how we've been taught to behave with the system.
yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, like right now, I'm writing a screenplay, and then you also realize that in terms of productivity, the moment I meditate, or the moment I just go to with my basketball to a court and play a little bit of ball during the
Mm,
day, during a working day, actually
yeah.
I'm way more productive. Like the moment I
Mm,
have like half an hour of taking good care of myself, I'm way more productive than just being tired, sitting behind your laptop, not
yeah.
feeling inspired, not feeling in your power. So actually, when you treat yourself or you take care of yourself, you energize yourself, and then you actually are more productive. So at the end of the day, you actually are able to achieve more by
Yeah.
sometimes take a little break and treat yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
wow, this is so exciting. We love this kind of discussions on this podcast, right? Yeah, treating yourself, taking time off, resting, like how that all helps with productivity. This is the thing that we live for. But I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your evening to come have a chat with me and to record the podcast, Reinier. I really appreciate it. Before you go, though, please can you tell us what you are looking for from coming on the podcast? You can ask for anything. We have people in all disciplines and all walks of life. I pride myself on being a coach who doesn't coach coaches. Obviously, you're not a coach. The person that referred you to me is not a coach. I pride myself on that, right? So, and how can people get hold of you?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to do this just to just have like a nice conversation with you. That was actually my first objective, just to
Oh,
celebrate me and you, that we had sessions together, and
yeah.
yeah, I'm a filmmaker and a screenwriter. I do a lot of script consultancies for Hollywood movies and for other European and South African productions. So if anybody has a screenplay or a screenplay idea and they want to bounce ideas with like a fresh pair of eyes, and somebody who's from the industry and has a lot of experience, then they can always contact me. I'm always looking for screenwriters with amazing ideas that would love to collaborate on a job. So if you are a screenwriter, or if you want to write more, you can always contact me, and let's see if we can collaborate.
Mm, I love this. And how do people get hold of you?
Well, they can write me an email to info@reiniersmit.com.
Mhm.
And like, is my name on the podcast in the beginning, or
Oh,
my
yeah.
name?
People
Okay.
can see it on, if
Yeah,
you're
you see,
watching YouTube, they can see your name at the bottom.
Okay.
But I will also, your name will also be in the description of the podcast, everything. So guys, if you're not sure about how to write Reinier's name and surname, it's all going to be in the description of this podcast. So you can stop, look at the description, even on YouTube. If you're listening in on YouTube, just stop and look on YouTube.
Yeah, and even though I'm now in the Netherlands, I'm still working in South Africa, and so I'm often in South Africa as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Reinier. And guys, thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Vangile. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. And guys, do join us for the next episode next week. Of course, if you loved this podcast, please leave us a comment on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or on Podbean, iTunes, or Podbean and iTunes. I don't know if you can leave comments on Spotify. I don't think so, but give us a rating, a 5-star rating on iTunes, please, and leave us a review on iTunes. And if you're loving this podcast and these guests and what they say about working with me and doing the Money Magic course, right now I don't have any private spots for one-on-one coaching clients, but do check out the Money Magic course and register, or get on the mailing, get on the waiting list. If the course is not open for registration, go to wealthy-money.com/Money Magic. Again, wealthy-money.com/Money Magic. I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a fantastic day further. Cheers.
Bye-bye.